Haha! Play with it now. Hold on. Ever wondered what happens when you combine one of the silliest gaming gimmicks with one of the most bonkers video game developers to ever do it? Well, today, my friends, we most certainly will find out. In an abandoned game that at times is frankly unbelievable.
No hitting back at the picture!
Taking a dive into 2014's D4 Dark Dreams Don't Die. A game from the creator that brought the world the beautiful insanity that is Deadly Premonition. This time with an even more insane motion-controlled story of a PI attempting to track down his wife's killer. A story that just gets more bizarre and oddly engrossing the longer it plays out. Today we dive into the most bizarre and tragically short-lived Kinect game ever made. This is D4 Dark Dreams Don't Die. Before we begin, I'd like to thank the sponsor of this video, Crystal of Atlan. Crystal of Atlan is a brand new magic punk MMORPG where players become part of the Adventurers Guild and dive into the world of Atlan to uncover the mysteries of crystals, the energy source powering the world. Pre-registered by over 8 million players and available on PC, PS5 and mobile. Players can choose from 11 classes and characters, with each having over 20 skill combinations and a variety of different builds for players to experiment with the new class Fighter and its branch classes Cloud Striker and Starbreaker, as well as the Magician class are available now with the game's launch. In true MMORPG fashion, the game offers various multiplayer elements, including 4-player co-op dungeons, 8-player raids, and a guild fleet system. Crystal of Atlan also features competitive PvP, with 3v3 and 1v1 modes, where everything from attributes to skill damage and cooldowns have been tested and balanced rigorously to create a fair environment. Download and play Crystal of Atlan today, using the link in the description, including a code to redeem to get all sorts of extra goodies. And a massive thank you to Crystal of Atlan for sponsoring the video. First booting up the game, we find D4, while being a Kinect game, does have support for controller via its PC port, but it's while setting up this that something caught my eye. A setting showing the name of the game's cursor we have selected, David Young. A strange inclusion, but only a tip of the iceberg when actually taking a look through the other of the game's cursor options, with some notable options being a baby's hand, a like button, and that looks exactly how it sounds. Going with the oh-so-predictable option, we begin the game, jumping into the prologue. It's here we meet a young girl, and someone I can only pray is her father, with the young girl enjoying the sight of a beautiful white owl, while making sounds that I'm sure has summoned quite the number of angry spouses bursting into the room. It's here we learn the basic controls of moving around and interacting with the environment, grabbing some credits and wandering up to the owl, with the girl then reaching out to it, in a definitely not genuinely terrifying fashion. With the owl gone, the ice beneath the girl begins to break, leaving the scene to introduce the hero of this journey, descending from the sky into his bathtub, like any other Tuesday. Waking and getting up, we get some early clues into what he's been up to.
I didn't see you again this time either. Little Peggy.
And no, little Peggy is not a strap-on.
My name is David Young, former knock with the Boston PD, and now a detective who searches the past. My likes include 100% de agave tequila. My dislikes are mainly drugs and chewing gum.
We learn that David seeks the killer of his wife, someone he has been searching for using his incredible power to revisit the past, working in tandem with his ability to restore memories from items he finds along the way, items he dubs mementos. Heading out of the bathroom and into David's home, we sit down to run through the case files and evidence he has collected so far, getting to see some of the details on his late wife Peggy, and seeing that she is only 4'8", making me wonder if she's even dead, or whether she simply just rolled under the sofa.
I have no memories of that day. When I came to, I was already lying in the ICU. The only thing I do remember are the words that little Peggy whispered as she died. Look for D.
we learn that David is searching for a mysterious one known as D, quitting his job as a detective and becoming a private eye. With his supernatural ability to revisit the past, he endeavors to uncover the truth. Startled by the door of his home, David gets up to see who it is, for the first of many bonkers encounters. Battling back the rain of household items. David finally gets a grip on the situation for a few moments before falling on his ass, but with this at least giving us a little insight into this strange girl.
This is Amanda. She just suddenly started living here one day. She sometimes goes out and gets food for us. And that's something of a lifeline for me, as I don't really go outside. Just who she is, though, well, my memory holds no answers.
While also leaving me 2 for 2 when it comes to covering titles with blonde girls with 2 different colored eyes. Weird. With this strange girl getting spooked by the arrival of another of David's acquaintances.
You did.
Meeting
Forrest Kaysen, a detective with the Boston Police Department, and my former partner. He still helps me out nowadays in my search for D. He's both a client and a source of information. He gets whatever I need.
his ex-partner, he affectionately calls Teddy, moaning about his wife and doing some cleaning up. While he's doing this, David notices that Teddy has brought with him a fresh batch of case files.
Teddy, what's this?
So, tell me, David, have you heard the news about that airplane accident, huh?
Access Gate Airways Flight 117, struck by unexplained lightning?
Unexplained lightning. David, did you skip science? I think you did, didn't you? You naughty boy. Sitting down together, the pair run through some of the case files Teddy has uncovered, with Teddy explaining that the flight didn't just have unexplained lightning. As a prisoner on board that agreed to give evidence on the source of a new drug named Real Blood, mysteriously went missing during the flight, seemingly disappearing into thin air.
So, clue me in. What makes this one the real deal?
The name of the boss he was going to give up? Apparently starts with the letter D.
Well, that narrows it down.
This courier might have had evidence revealing the identity of D. So, interested yet?
Teddy provides David with a memento that he can use to travel back in time to investigate. A marshal's badge, answering a quick call.
Hello? Hello, my name is Barry. You know you can go back in time? Well, I'm from the future to tell you can watch the ad-free, uncensored and extended versions of MitchManix's videos on his Patreon, along with getting access to a whole load of perks, including getting your name in every video. Head down to the description to find out more. As to why I'm phoning you up and telling you this, I have no idea. I tried to think for like half an hour, but I just can't justify it. Sorry. Oh, and if you see a giant, slightly less galactic, large man wandering around, can you kick him in the bollocks for me? Thank you.
And stopping off at Amanda's shop to grab some supplies for his trip to the past, David heads to the bedroom to finish preparing, and we get a look at his collection of outfits and hairstyles that include a number of baffling beard options, as well as oddly a strange range of clothing, sporting logos and images from various games, such as Fable and Gears of War. Ready to dive into the past, David heads to the bathroom to begin his search, stopping off to thank his former partner.
Thanks for all the help.
No problem, David. We're partners. You may have quit the force, but that fact won't change. Hell, if you trace it all the way back, if I hadn't asked you to join up in the first place...
Teddy!
No.
I'm sorry, what? Grabbing the memento and focusing his mind, David dives into the past. ending up conveniently in the toilet of the aircraft, housing the prisoner on board.
The past will surely tell me the truth.
Arming himself with a fresh disturbing face and stick of gum, David heads out into the cabin of the plane, causing trouble instantly.
Are you okay?
Literally bumping into Olivia Jones, a flight attendant with a striking resemblance to David's late wife Peggy, and a woman that is clearly quite sharp, being suspicious of David right off the bat.
You're surely aware that we carry a passenger list aboard.
Memorized it, have you?
We don't take kindly to stowaways, if that's what you are.
Slipping away from the flight attendant for now, David wanders through the aisle, immediately spotting the prisoner, Antonio the Rabbit Zapatero, who is under the watch of a familiar face.
You, what are you doing here?
Derek Buchanan, United States Marshal.
You really have a death wish, don't you?
Yet you might be the one who dies.
How dare you?
Snagging the man's broken pen and leaving to explore further,
To remember you by.
David gets to meet some of the other passengers on the plane, meeting a fashion designer dressed as a cucumber conehead, who gives us quite the introduction.
I'm Duncan, and this is Suki. We're top fashion designers, the both of us.
That could use a little bit of work. One more time. Bingo.
Duncan. So this guy's also a D.
Some people just don't get it, no matter how many times you tell them.
My bad, I'm sure.
Meeting Duncan and his disturbing inanimate partner Suki,
This is avant-garde.
he leaves to return to his seat. Wandering further down the aisle, David comes across the incredibly paranoid Deborah Anderson,
That window right there. That window made a noise.
worrying about everything and convinced that the plane is doomed.
She has her name written on everything she owns. She's a D too?
This is so bad. This plane is going down.
Despite David's best efforts to try and calm the woman down,
Calm down, Deborah! Calm down! Everything's okay!
Debbie continues her outbursts, drawing the attention of another of the flight attendants, with this one being an interesting character indeed.
Please allow me to handle this.
Unbelievable.
Well, well. Let me see now. Mr. Young, wasn't it? I have to admit, I didn't expect to ever see you again.
Here we meet Philip Cheney, a towering bloke that is the picture of calm in the most disturbing way, a state that clearly he has some assistance in maintaining.
This flight attendant seems to know me. I have no idea when I met him, however. For me, our first meeting is a past that hasn't happened yet.
You are quite the stubborn mule. The type who won't stay dead even if he gets killed, maybe. Oh, I wonder. If you're going to cause trouble, I may have to eject you from the game.
Trouble? Me? Your watch was about to fall off. It looks expensive, so I didn't think you'd want to lose it.
With now 3 individuals identified with names starting with D, David thinks on his next move, while I try to figure out how this man goes about his day-to-day life, considering he has such a fixation on the letter D. With all the notable individuals identified, David looks to gathering some evidence, finding a subway ticket tucked into one of the seats. Attempting to investigate further, David is blocked by Philip when attempting to make his way into business class. Someone he will have to remove to continue his investigation. David will need a distraction to move the man mountain blocking his way, so turns back to Deborah to possibly create one, as well as to grill her to find out if she is or might know about this D he seeks. Deborah is of course continuing her breakdown over the plane's safety, convinced an accident is imminent.
Hey, you! Will you go and check that all the other windows are okay?
Excuse me?
On them. I bet they are squeaking away in places I've never even dreamed of. Oh, I dare not even imagine it.
Setting David off to check a number of the plane's windows, which he reluctantly agrees to, truly opening up a can of worms, as after completing this he is next asked to check the state of the plane's carpets, yet another pointless exercise.
As Dr. Johnson always says, inspections only have meaning when performed regularly.
Finally loosened up, David grills the woman about details such as her arguing with the flight attendants, as well as the reason why she is wearing a life jacket for no reason at all.
Show me proof that there'll be time to get one out and put it on, eh? It's like Dr. Johnson always says, be proactive, not reactive.
Noticing a stack of paperwork, David then asks around why this woman seems to be taking so many notes almost constantly.
Yes. Methodology for achieving peace of mind. It's like Dr. Johnson always says, there are no guarantees in life. Find a way to achieve peace of mind.
Finally, David inquires into what exactly she is expecting on this flight, given she is so on edge.
Crashing! It's like Dr. Johnson always says, being prepared is half the battle.
Woman, if you mention your doctor one more time, I will move you closer to him. Extracting what he can, and writing off Deborah as a suspect, he is not done with her yet, as by creating a bit of noise is able to stir her up once again.
What? Are you saying these window noises are all in my head? Are you? Dumb I thought you were a nice gentleman.
Madam,
you think
I
I'm just
assure
some
you I
complainer?
think nothing
Some
of the...
lawsuit seeker? Do you? This is completely unacceptable. Completely unacceptable!
With David's plan of getting in Philip's face working a little too well, the flight attendants decide to move Deborah to business class and away from the creaky windows. One confusing situation resolved, just to be instantly replaced by another.
What the f***?
In the instant I saw that big man, the scar on my forehead started to throb. That's never happened before. What's going on here?
Wandering towards the genuinely disturbing huge man, David searches his mind for what this could all mean. Not exactly getting any answers from the man, who simply laughs in his face and slowly looks out of the window, triggering the inevitable.
Hey, enough already! How long you planning on keeping me waiting?
Using the commotion caused by the lightning, Zapatero beats the crap out of the marshal, keeping him in custody, leading to David having to step in and giving way to quite possibly the silliest fight scene I have ever witnessed.
Go on that fucking investigation!
Hand over your evidence! Whatever it is! I need it! Oh my goodness! Suki! You'll get over it!
Yeah, things just got serious!
All right, Zapatero. I'm knocking this one out of the park. No hitting back at the picture.
With Antonio slipping through his fingers and launching everything he can find at David, including some of the passengers, David pulls out all the stops to put this man down and find out what he knows. Getting the better of the man, David throws a haymaker to put a stop to the brawl, while at the same time possibly putting a stop to his capacity to procreate. As the brawl continues, the chaos only escalates, as the plan and the plane continues to fall apart. Amongst the screaming passengers, Olivia pulls out a gun, pointing it at David, demanding answers. But it's all too late.
Who are you?
Opening his eyes, the situation seems to have calmed, as David wanders the aisle to assess the situation, finding the huge man once more, but with something else missing.
Rabbit? The courier, he vanished?
Gathering himself, David catches up with Deborah, who of course has all the more reason to be losing her mind with worry.
First, squeaking windows, and now seats and floors are electrified? I'm almost impressed by your capacity to worry about the mundane.
Keen to get some more information about this sinister man in white, David asks,
"When did you move to this seat?"
When indeed, young Mr. Young. So funny you would ask.
What does that mean?
If time changes, so too does place. Time is of the essence.
Ah, time is of the essence. That must be why you talk so quickly. This ominous man / speedrunner's worst nightmare, as you would imagine, does not answer questions directly, instead throwing out only cryptic responses. However, he does turn David's attention to the window, showing him that now the plane's engine is undamaged, begging the question of what is happening. David and the man talk about the situation, noticing now that the flight attendant Olivia is also now missing, the woman who shares a striking resemblance to David's late wife Peggy. Talking more, clovers begin to descend from the ceiling, with this man explaining that these represent David's memories. And after catching a bunch, this man also explains that he has left a memento in David's house, as well as claiming that Amanda the bonkers cat lady's well-being is a good indicator for David's well-being also. Interesting. Still grasping for answers, David wanders over to Philip, who is busy being his orderly, disturbing self, and in an attempt to loosen him up, David attempts to prove his knowledge of aviation by agreeing to answer a number of quizzes.
A set of quizzes that we definitely passed first time. What?
With some of these questions actually being quite interesting. For example, did you know that pilots and co-pilots have to eat separately prepared meals in case one of them gets food poisoning? Did you know that, Peggy? Still not able to get anything revealing from Philip, who is adamant that the other flight attendant was never even on this flight. It's clear that the search for answers is getting to David.
What about the guy with the scar on his forehead? Stony face? In business class?
Scar on his forehead? No. On his jaw, David. Scar on his forehead? Well, that's you. Did you hit your head, David? Or as you might call it, your jaw?
Who, after returning to the now unscathed Marshal, doesn't exactly choose his words wisely when trying to get his attention.
That's a pretty great photo. Did you take it? Can I tell you what I like the most? It's that your bald head isn't in it. Don't tell me. You weren't the cameraman. You were the flashbulb. But that's a surprise. You're the last person I'd expect to be carrying a picture of your family.
Listen up. I don't know who you are. But if you want to keep sucking down air, never talk to me again.
Searching the cabin, David finds a used ticket for a baseball game, Boston versus New York, becoming overcome with excitement at the very idea of his state sports team with an oddball outburst.
Go, Boston, go!
Nothing says Boston quite like this.
Opening containers and checking the seats, David hits a dead end, becoming highly frustrated with this confusing scene.
David?
But then remembering there is still one other he is yet to check in with, the fashion designer, Duncan, who after speaking with seems quite passive and not interested in talking, leading to another of David's strange outbursts, pulling out something he had heard earlier to try and perk him up a bit.
Avant-garde! Eureka!
Oh, that's good, we said the right thing. I was a hair away with going with Asian golf. With Duncan a little more relaxed, David inquires about a suspicious patch of red powder on the designer's clothes, trying to find out if this could be the drug mentioned in the case files he saw earlier, real blood, leading to a number of reactions. Pressing further, Duncan claims that this powder is not a drug, but instead a cosmetic product he is planning to release.
You want to make your own name the symbol of this new age. The whole world will be under the spell of the red powder that bears your name. But that isn't art. It's just attention-seeking.
Now there's a sentence that makes me think about absolutely nothing at all.
Duncan also has a tight alibi for January 26, 2011.
The day I lost everything.
Explaining that he was in Paris at the time. Running out of options, David retreats to the back of the plane, clearing the dirt and staring out of the window to see a vision of his wife that I'm sure is meant to be reminiscent and emotional, but for me could easily be a cutscene from The Conjuring. However, it's while taking in this sight that things finally fall into place. Noticing the sun from this side of the plane, his mind now clear, David returns to the marshal to finally reveal his breakthrough.
The Fenway Park ticket was a used ticket.
What?
The seat cover pattern is cherry blossom and snow.
What are you rambling about?
The destination is in the other direction. The sun can be seen from the windows on the right side. In other words, the aircraft is flying south.
Explain yourself clearly!
The plane is not going in the same direction. This isn't even the same flight, David realizes before retreating to the bathroom to gather his thoughts. The pen he stole from the marshal acted as a memento, sending him further back in time. Oh, dude. Just when things are starting to fall into place, David receives one hell of a shock, getting blasted with electricity, dropping him to the floor, left clutching the shards of something that has fallen with him. Closing out this dive into the past, we get to see a mysterious man donning a feather on his coat, visiting David's former partner Forrest, before rejoining David, now finding him in the icy lake we saw earlier, collapsed on the floor and his mouth hanging open with an expression like he just accidentally sat on one of his testicles, with the owl and the girl returning once again to greet him.
Who are you, mister?
With him, of course, introducing himself as David Young, the detective that investigates the past, as opposed to all those detectives that investigate the future. Giving David a dose of the creepy staring treatment, the girl shows her excitement at a group of ducks nearby, asking David to accompany her over to play with them. Of course, giving us another opportunity to mess around with the game's interaction controls.
Haha, play with it now. Hold on, what?
Visiting the duck, the girl asks what David is doing here.
I'm looking for something.
Something?
Yeah, something.
So, what is it?
A lead that will let me meet someone special. I'm gonna change the past.
You can't change the past, David.
Little Peggy.
You can't change the past. Time is always moving into the future.
It's always been that way.
But
You can't change the past. You just have to accept it. I belong to the past. I'm dead, David.
No!
I am under the sofa. There's rat shit down here, David.
I'm dead. I'm dead. I am dead. I'm dead. I'm dead. I am dead.
Waking up once again in his filthy bath, David gets up and heads into his home, finding Amanda asleep on the TV, somehow. But no sign of Teddy. Grabbing some munch to keep his energy up, David returns to the case files, seeing if he can find any association to this real blood, getting a reminder of that traumatic night finding his wife, and her incredibly detailed last words she spoke, to point the finger at her killer.
Look for D.
Not finding anything, David takes a look at Teddy's laptop to see what he's been working on.
he's using geographical profiling. BPD, the hockey rink, Diana's cafe, the Oldman Clinical Research Lab, this apartment, and the house little Peggy grew up in. Teddy, just what the hell are you investigating?
Exhausted, David falls asleep before being awoken by his ex-partner, who is busy cooking breakfast and a rather fancy-looking coffee. David catches Teddy up on his last dive into the past, explaining that the only memento he has left is the shards of the Marshal's sunglasses, along with asking a pressing question.
You didn't go home last night, did you?
That's not unusual for me.
But you always go back home. On nights when you fight with Diana.
Me and her, we've been together a long time. I got a feel for which, fights are best to stay away from a little longer. Look, I'm telling you the truth. We have our own way of doing things, that's all. Huh? Oh, yeah, just forget about all that, all right? Right now, you need to concentrate on the case of the vanishing courier. This one is linked to D. That's what my gut tells me. My detective gut. Not my beer one.
Looking to get back on the case, David wanders around the house looking for anything that might act as a memento to pull him back into the past, searching his bedroom and getting another unintentionally terrifying hallucination of his wife.
Little Peggy.
If this one's a boy, I bet he'll be a hockey player. If she's a girl, maybe she can be a cheerleader, like I was. Oh, hey, listen to this, David. My father used to play hockey too, when he was younger. Can you imagine that?
Wandering back out, he comes across a baseball that, after picking it up, looks like it'll do just the trick. Unfortunately for David, however, someone else has also taken a liking to it.
Ow! Oh, ow, ow! Flames over this meal!
Amanda clearly has no plans to let go and relinquish the baseball. Throwing everything but the kitchen sink at David to keep him away. Ducking and dodging, David finally gets a good grip, letting Teddy pull her away as he takes a swipe at grabbing the ball, which bounces off a ceiling fan and rockets towards the window, getting a hair away from being lost, but grabbed right at the last second.
Teddy, this is a memento.
A memento? The baseball?
Somehow managing to manifest the baseball that David fired into Antonio's face while on the flight, he now has a way of traveling back to the past to uncover more clues, and with any luck, get closer to the one responsible for Peggy's death. Now with a new memento, David takes a last look at the case files, remembering returning home on the night of Peggy's murder, to find the man that raised her sat distraught at the crime scene.
David Young, Do you think the past can be changed?
You know what? I'm totally not suspicious of this guy. Absolutely normal behavior. As after all, I too have nearly mixed up the battery acid with the mouthwash.
How did you come to this?
Now, with all he needs for another dive into the past, David heads to the bathroom, grabbing the memento and heading back to seek out the evidence Antonio was supposed to provide.
Olivia.
Once again bumping into / on top of Olivia.
We're below the seats now. Bloodstains? What happened after the lightning strike? Huh. Olivia.
Don't move.
It's clear by her reaction, as well as the badge around her neck, that she is not just a flight attendant, grilling David about why he is here in the cargo area of the plane, but being interrupted by a radio call from someone who sounds just like Philip, the towering flight attendant from our previous dive into the past.
Delta calling Eagle. Delta calling Eagle. The Federal Marshal, Derek Buchanan, got my gun. He's taking the target to approach the aircraft. I'm unable to guarantee...
Agreeing to team up against this new threat, David and Olivia make their way through the plane's luggage area to try and make it to the cockpit, rummaging through some of the passengers' luggage for some more food along the way, and plugging up leaks with his endless supply of chewing gum.
Why would the Marshal take Antonio Zapatero hostage?
I have no idea. You're one to talk anyway. Seems like you'll do just about anything for your investigation. Are you really just a private detective?
I'm going after the courier, at the request of the BPD.
The BPD?
Your people asked for the cooperation.
I wasn't aware of that.
I'm sorry. I meant, will ask.
Huh?
Making progress, disaster strikes, and the pair are trapped in one of the plane's smaller compartments, dropping the flashlight and plunging them into darkness. Luckily, David has exceptional night vision, and after accidentally grabbing some broken glass and Olivia's ass,
Don't touch me there!
He comes across the parts for the flashlight. Now needing an alternative power source, David quickly rules out using the huge battery packs as a candidate. Finding some extra batteries, the pair are able to progress through the plane, also finding more bloodstains, and Olivia agreeing that this real blood is quite the threat indeed.
It feels more twisted, more dangerous than something just being used as a source of income. We've found a lot of strange corpses and incidents related to real blood. People with all their skin reversed, drowned in the absence of water.
Or bodies with all the blood removed from their body.
You know something about real blood, don't you?
Maybe.
Finding the door to the machinery section, the two notice more blood and a number of bullet holes, but with David noticing a much more sinister sight. Turning back to task, David is able to get the power to the door back online, wandering through.
Just over 2 years ago, there was a detective who quit over a real blood murder. Sounds like he was forced out under suspicion of possibly killing his wife. The report also says he was critically injured, including some memory loss. What do you think this former detective is doing now?
What's your point?
Please, answer me.
I didn't kill her.
I knew it was you. You're the detective from that case. And that's why you've muscled in on this one. What are you after? Don't tell me. Revenge?
Listen.
Back off. I can't let you become any more involved in this.
Olivia, wait.
Hands up! Don't move.
Now staring down the barrel of a gun, David's mind races on how to de-escalate the situation, but not having much time to think, noticing the incoming danger. A surge of electricity splits the pair, with David having to make a run for it to have any chance of making it further towards the cockpit, in an incredibly acrobatic display. ducking and dodging all the dangers coming his way, and making it just in time, then getting to hear a man screaming just around the corner. With that not being the only thing looming around the corner, as the sinister masked man returns, who reminds David of his time undercover, as expected, cryptically claiming that those that play with fire get burned. Turning the corner, David finds the marshal's jacket, bloodstained, with this giving way to the clues falling into place.
With my fake eye, weren't you? Trying to take it while I was sleeping? Is that your ass or your head?
A man is far more than just his looks.
Don't tell me.
My wife understood that well.
Revenge?
That's it. That's what happened.
As he continues on to see what all the commotion is about.
When I heard that the one behind Real Blood has a name starting with D, I thought maybe that was you. Now I understand everything. The reason you're so focused on Real Blood cases. And the reason your wife is so much younger than you in that picture. And even the identity of my attacker. You aren't the D I'm chasing. You've been following Real Blood cases in order to avenge your family. Your family was killed by a Real Blood user, perhaps. So you swore to wipe out everyone involved with Real Blood. Well, Marshal, have I got it right?
What the hell do you know?
Finally revealing the Marshal's true intent, David attempts to explain to the Marshal that he can change the past, which he of course does not believe. A development that matters not, as with another surge of electricity, the Marshal is put out of commission, giving way to by far the most shocking development yet.
AG Flight 117 to Boston. And a different flight to Washington, D.C. The other D who was on board both of these flights. You're the one I should have been after. Codename Delta. Philip Cheney!
Well, Mr. David Young. A shame you didn't work it out sooner. Now, how may I help you? Die!
And with that huge development, we are treated to a post-episode cutscene of Teddy meeting with Peggy's foster father, with the two clearly cooperating together in some capacity, and just adding yet another layer of intrigue to the story.
I've arranged it, just like you wanted. Now will you be able to meet my expectations?
A story left as to be continued. Except, tragically, that would never happen. With the game selling poorly and despite the game being nominated for a number of awards, writer Hidetaka Suhiro, aka Swery65, would leave developers Access Games, announcing that there would be no more episodes of D4, just becoming yet another victim to the gaming peripheral that nobody asked for, with the game simply not generating enough funding to keep the project going. Truly a tragedy if you ask me, as just like with some of Swery's other games such as Deadly Premonition, D4 is strangely captivating and filled with interesting characters, making its untimely end all the more hard to swallow. Yet still grateful that we got to experience what we did of the game at least, unlike some others that I am still pissed about to this very day. But enough from me, what do you think? What did you make of this bizarre detective adventure? And let me know if you have any other suggestions for bonkers games we can dive into. And if it's another crazy adventure you're looking for, then I'm sure you'll enjoy the entire playlist of them coming up in just a few moments. Huge thank you to the channel patrons as always. Just a reminder, you can get ad-free, extended and uncensored versions of the channel's longer deep dives on my Patreon, with all the not safe for YouTube juicy bits left in. Head down to the description to find out more about that. Please like the video if it was to your liking. And don't forget to hit that subscribe button so you don't miss the next adventure. Thanks again, and I'll catch you in the next one.